Masters, selling your gold, silver, or coins is simple, secure, and very rewarding. Our certified expert will evaluate your jewelry with complete transparency, offering top dollar payouts on the spot. Whether it's old, broken, or simply no longer your style, your gold and silver is worth more at Jewel Masters. Honest service, immediate payment, real value. Bring your gold, silver, or coins to Jewel Masters today, across from Academy on Highway 98 West.
Hi everyone, Bob Ghetti here. It's been my go-to restaurant for the past 15 years. Movie Star Restaurant in Oak Grove. Southern comfort food. Fried chicken, peas and cornbread, squash, homemade mashed potatoes, fried chicken, salads, desserts. Southern comfort buffets. Monday through Friday, 11 till 2. Friday nights, 5 till 8. And of course the after church Sunday buffet, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Movie Star has been serving the Pine Belt for over 25 years. In my 15 years, I've never had a bad experience. Not one. And I don't think you will either. Movie Star Restaurant in Oak Grove. Proud to have my friends at Movie Star as one of the sponsors of Legends.
Welcome to Legends with Bob Ghetti, where we explore personal and professional lives of Mississippi's greatest sports legends. Broadcasting from the Anatomy's podcast studio in Hattiesburg, here's Bob and today's guest.
All right, thank you, Charlie, and welcome to another edition of Legends as we broadcast, as you just heard, from the Anatomy's fitness studio here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Glad you're with us this week, and we appreciate our great sponsors. Excited to have a guest here today who is not only a sports legend, but I'm happy to say has become a friend over the years, and that is Southern Miss baseball coach Christian Ostrander. And Coach, first of all, congratulations on another splendid season, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm not sure about the legend status, but definitely, appreciate you and what you do. And I was excited about this opportunity.
Well, Coach, it all started for you at Delta State, but I want to go prior to Delta State. Tell us about your upbringing and when baseball caught your eye.
Oh man, it's crazy journey for sure. I think like most folks, I guess. Started early for me. I had a love, passion for it as a young kid. I remember from T-ball and stuff and just things like that. I can remember my grandfather really, playing catch with me, doing things, made targets for me when I was young and challenged me to throw the ball at things and just kind of grew from there and just always had a passion for it. It's from very fortunate where I grew up in Arlington, Texas. Had a great little league system, and back in those early '80s and stuff, and was surrounded by a lot of Texas Rangers family and kids and stuff. So our teams were really the sons from some of the Buddy Bell's sons played with them. Tim Grieve's son Ben Grieve played with them, and Jim Sundberg had a son that played with it. So a lot of just around a lot of cool baseball stuff, and just had a passion for it, and. Then you move on. My dad got transferred from, Arlington, Texas to upstate New York back in 1987. You're in 8th grade and it's like you're fixing to leave everything and go up there. Knew nothing about it. Syracuse, New York, upstate New York. Thank goodness they had some decent baseball up there. It was more of a senior Babe Ruth type circuit thing up there, but ran into some folks that, really invested in me there. Had a good high school program, so I continued to grow and really, loved the game. And during my senior year of high school, my dad gets transferred back to Texas, and I knew I was getting out of Dodge. It was too cold up there, and made my way down south. This is back in 1991. I can remember making a swing and going and visiting some junior colleges down here, some Division I schools, Division II schools, and back then you had to sell yourself. You didn't have social media. It was newspaper clippings. It was VHS videos, and so kind of did that. Landed at a junior college in Mississippi, Mississippi Delta Community College, which at that time, believe it or not, was really doing some great things. Great coaches, Terry Thompson, the head coach, still in touch with to this day. his assistant, Brock McMurray, in touch with to this day. They come and watch games here. They live in the Jackson area now. And so I ended up there, grew, learned a lot, made stupid mistakes as a young punk, I guess, in college. Thought I knew a lot. Really learned a lot of things. Most importantly, I met my wife there, which was the biggest thing.
Mississippi Delta.
This is Mississippi Delta. Yeah, she was a cheerleader there. She was from Leland, Mississippi. So, started chasing her and courting her in the fall of '92, and we just celebrated our 30th anniversary and stuff. So, but those 2 years there at Mississippi Delta were extremely influential to me in many areas. Really grew up. Went from there to Delta State University. Got there in the fall of '94. Again, great program. Coach Boo Ferris, Bill Marchant, Mike Kennison, to name a few, just guys that influenced me greatly. I had a blast, finished my career at a Division II World Series in Montgomery, Alabama. Got married, a month later, 3 weeks later, and I knew I had a kind of one of those moments back in December of '95 that reality was hitting. In 6 months I'm getting married. 6 months I'm done with baseball. 6 months I'm graduating. Had a business degree and stuff, and I realized then, like, well, what do I love? What do I know? And that was baseball. So I kind of go back to this campus after Christmas break. So it had been January of '96. I go back and I go to the Dean of Education, said, I want to coach. What do I need to do? And he said, I'll never forget, he looked at me and said, you realize you're graduating in May with the business degree. I said, yes, sir, I do. And he said, you want to change now? I said, I do. And, and I did. And it took me an extra year. I had to do student teaching. I had to do all that stuff. And but it was the best decision I ever made. Didn't realize it then, but something tugged at me. And what I didn't know was at that time I was making a decision based on what my passion is. And I'm so thankful I did, because you fast forward almost 30 years of doing this, that, you look back on it and it's just been a blessing, to do what I do, how I did it. How you kind of work, you just kind of bet on yourself, and you get to an opportunity to be doing what you're doing now at a place like Southern Miss. And couldn't be more fortunate and blessed and thankful, and I certainly don't take that for granted.
You played for a very storied program at Delta State. I don't think many people in Mississippi, or not enough, understand just how successful and traditional that program is. Did you learn things playing for those men at Delta State that you use today?
Oh boy, did I! It shapes you. There was times there. It was tough, blue collar. It was a family atmosphere at Delta State, very much like it is at Southern Miss. There's a lot of parallels, in my opinion. Coach Boo Ferris built that program. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without Coach Ferris in my life and being one of my references on my resume. But then, Coach Marchant, Coach Kennison, it was a toughness. We had to do more with less. Sometimes I hear that at Southern Miss. And and stuff, but we certainly had to do that there at Delta State. And it was, you learn finer things. You learn how to appreciate certain things and do things right. Everything matters. That's a slogan that Coach Berry started here years ago. We didn't maybe use that slogan at Delta State, but they believed that and they preached it. So it was part of me. It was who I was, at that time, and it really shaped me, and that was what I knew as a player. And I coached there my first 6 years as a coach at Delta State with Coach Kennison. So I grew a lot. Didn't know what I was doing, but I grew a lot, and there was things that were just instilled in me, whether I realized it at the time, that later on in my career, you see it coming out and stuff. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, it affected me, and it shaped me in so many ways.
So I think you just answered my next question. So you went back, did an extra year at Delta State, so you could teach and coach. Did you then go immediately to Delta State and start coaching when you finished that degree?
I never left. So after I finished, my career was finished playing, and I guess it would have been spring of '96 was my last year. I started as I guess you would call it a student assistant year one because I hadn't started my master's yet because I had that extra year to try to get in, education, and stuff. So once I did that, I started a master's, and that took me, 2 years of, married, working baseball, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. I had a 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and a night class for 4 semesters in a row. But finished that and then got hired as a full-time. Once I finished the master's, it was time for me to support I had to figure it out. So I had some menial job, whether it was college or whether it was a junior college or whether it was a high school. I had to either get going. At the time, Delta State didn't have a full-time assistant, and I'll never forget Coach Kennison going and fighting for it. And because I was the pitching coach as a GA, and I guess Coach saw some good in me, wanted me to stay, and I'll never forget, he went and got it figured out, and he told me, here's what we can do. And I think I made about $16,500.
You hit the big time.
Yeah, and I got $2,000 more if I coached racquetball and methods of coaching baseball. So sign me up. So, but man, it was a blast. It was, me and my wife lived in marriage housing. It was a dump, but we had a blast, and just really growing, not knowing really, again, and I mean this, not knowing what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out,
right?
And just working hard, just putting your head down and working hard, trying to do the best job you can at that moment where you're at.
Funny you say that about the married housing and being a dump. My wife and I lived at Pine Haven in Hattiesburg at Southern Miss. When that existed, that was married couples apartments, probably a 700 square foot cinder block apartment, the greatest times of our life. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
100%. A lot of great memories there, and it was simple. It was easy. Didn't worry about stuff. Didn't worry about status. Didn't worry about you just lived, and you didn't. It was an easier time back then, and in my opinion, in that generation and stuff. But no, it was good. It was pure. It made us appreciate and really everything that we've been able to achieve as a family, and stuff. You just don't take it for granted.
Very similar, and I agree with everything you said about that. You found a girl from Leland. I found one from Sunflower.
I know where
so
that is.
We're both pretty lucky men, huh?
No doubt. This is a special breed up there, and that Delta's special. And but no, it's very thankful for Amy, my wife. She's I wouldn't be here where I'm at without her. So
baseball coaches' wives have to be a special breed. You're gone a lot. I know Scott has told me in the past that one thing that led him to start thinking about retirement is that he spent more time with other people's kids than he did his own. Oh, yeah. How important is spousal support to you and the men in your profession?
It's huge. A coach's wife is special, and there are a lot of professions out there that the wives are special, but a supportive wife is special. I guess you should say that, but there's got to be some independence. You got to know that, like, my wife had to go to, I missed graduations. I missed college graduations. I missed high school graduations. I missed proms, which probably was a good thing, missing proms, having 2 daughters. But, you miss birthdays, you miss things. You do. It is what it is. And you can't, it's just part of the gig, part of the job. And, there's some guilt, that you feel a little bit of guilt. I certainly have. And, when I left Louisiana Tech and came here, I wouldn't have done it if my oldest daughter, Caitlin, who was in her 3rd high school in 3 years, if she said she couldn't do it, if she said she doesn't want to, come back, and I wouldn't have done it. And, but you had a supportive spouse, you have supportive children, and stuff. So that means a lot. You got to have that because it's a sacrifice, and it's not just the stuff you're away from. It's, they hear it. Your kids hear things in the community. Your kids hear things in the stands. Your wife hears those things and stuff. So there's a lot of blessings and a lot of great things. A majority of them are blessings and great things, but there's also some difficult things too that goes with it and stuff. So having the right people in your corner, the support group. I think any successful coach or any successful person has a supportive of wife and family.
There's an old saying about taking work home with you. As a baseball coach, is it difficult not to take, say, a frustrating game home with you at night?
It is. I made a vow years ago, and I think my wife, if she was here talking to you, would tell you that I do a good job of that. It's not them. It's not their fault. It's not on them. You gotta separate it. Being a baseball coach, doing what I do is a love. It's a passion. It's a drive. It's dedication. It's commitment, but it's not who I am. It's not. I'm not defined by that in the eyes of my wife or my children. And stuff. And I know that. So they love you no matter what. So it's not fair to bring anything like that home and let them feel that. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, but through really 30 years now of doing it together, she knows when to ask questions. She knows when to say it's time to get it in gear, and have things. But ultimately, I try and I encourage my assistants. Try to share those things with them, and they're a little younger than I am, and I have a little bit more experience and maybe wisdom with some of that. That don't do it, man. Don't. What happens on the outside, doesn't matter and stuff. You do your job, do your work, go home, and be a great husband and father.
You talked about what your wife and your children hear. I've had other coaches tell me the same thing, that they don't worry about the criticism, the fan interaction, but sometimes their families do. Is your family able to block that away?
They are. They had to get conditioned for that. Really, I can remember when I first got here 10 years ago. Whatever. My kids were younger. They would hear things. They'd hear somebody. Like, "Come on, Ostrander. You waited too long to make that change," or just whatever. Just the criticism. And I remember them like they couldn't believe that. They were talking to your own folks that way or whatever, or something on social media, and they'd want to respond. So you had to teach them early, like, hey, it's all good. It's part of it. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not asking opinions of those people, and stuff. So you had to condition them a little bit, especially your kids. And my wife, too. My wife's got a little fight in her and stuff, and she'll want to.
She's from the Delta?
Yeah, that's right. And, but they get it and they know. And ultimately, it's just kind of part of the gig. Right, wrong, indifferent. It's part of the gig.
Well, truth is, Christian, there hadn't been much to be critical of since you've been the head coach.
Well, I don't know. It's our standards are really high, and no, I appreciate that. I'm very proud of the last 3 seasons once I got this opportunity that Coach Barry so graciously believed in, that to be his predecessor and or to be his successor. I'm sorry, and I again, it's a dream. Nobody wants it more than we do, than I do for these players in this community, in this program, and stuff. So, you should celebrate the successes just a little bit, but you think about the failures too, and it just causes more competitiveness. And
coaches think more about losses, I believe, than they do wins.
They do. It's unfortunate. Maybe one day I'll look back and reflect on a lot of things, but now you just always think about the next, and preparing for that. But I think that's kind of who we are, and how we're shaped and stuff. Yeah. But trust me, I don't take any of this for granted at all. Like I said, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be doing what I'm doing at a place like this.
Now, I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this before, but you did replace a real legendary guy. It's tough to step in after a legend. What pressure, if any, did you feel in that respect?
It was. I knew it was there. Well, it goes from really, Bob. I was so thankful. I knew the magnitude of being the next Southern Miss baseball coach because of what Coach Barry, his tenure here, what he's done, what Coach Palmer did, what Coach Denson, Coach Taylor, and going back. I got it. I knew it. I mean, nobody needed to remind me of that. I knew that. So there was, that was there, but I never really focused on that. It was more of an honor, and it was more of a, I want to honor Coach Berry's decision to believe I was the next guy. I wanted to make him proud. I wanted to make, those around, those that gave me this opportunity, not that I need anybody's justification, but it wasn't about me. It was about the program and just trying to continue to grow it and strengthen it and doing everything. I had a responsibility to do that. So motivation, it was high to begin with, regardless of the situation, but that's just another layer there because, I love Coach Berry like a brother. And I know how important this program was to him and is still to him. And I knew, him to believe in that, man, that's strength, for me.
Did he give you any advice on how to take the role?
Well, not much more, than just what, he's a man of wisdom. Coach Berry had a knack, when he spoke, it sounded like a roar. And the message, and no matter how it was delivered, was just carried a lot of weight. And so anytime, he would add anything or we'd talk and on hunting trips or this, that, whatever, you absorb it all. You just absorbed it all. And he's still a huge mentor for me to this day. I'm so thankful that, I got a guy like him and even Coach Denson that can walk into the office and when I need to call Coach and I need advice, I do it. I do it a lot and stuff. And that's special, special to have just the man that he is, but then the man that he is that also has done it as well, that can, give you some advice when you need it and stuff. So just really cool, really special.
What two mentors to have, Scott Berry and Hill Denson?
Yeah, it's just something, man. It's awesome. And I tell that to a lot of folks. Just very, very lucky to be in this spot to where those men can walk through that door anytime. And, you just get to talk and, and gain wisdom. If I'm doing my job right, I'm gaining wisdom trying to. So yeah, very cool.
All right, Coach, I want to peel back the onion to the degree that you can share this with our listeners. Prior to you taking the head coaching job, there were rumors that you were offered the pitching job at LSU, Texas, other big schools. True?
Yeah, that was true. I had a lot of wonderful opportunities come my way that coincided with, the summer of 22. We just had a really good year and, and all that stuff. And I was a benefactor because of association with a great program, and I knew that. But it got real. I've never in my career kind of thought about the next thing, if I do this, then this is going to happen. And I wasn't chasing anything. When I came here back in 17, I had a 5-year plan mentality because my youngest daughter would be graduating high school in 5 years. And I made a vow that I'm not going to do to her what I did to my oldest daughter. And I was at a great place, obviously, they're here. And so I knew I could have that longevity, hopefully, if they'd have me. And so it's kind of ironic, you commit to that for the reasons I did. You fast forward 5 years, it lined up with that summer.
Right.
And so my daughter was graduated. It had been very easy to be mobile. It had been very easy to do those things. The money was very interesting. Not that that's why you do things, but the level and the opportunity. I never thought I would turn down some of those things, 10 years earlier, probably wouldn't have happened. But
did this all come after the 22 season, after that LSU series?
It did. It just there's a lot of.
They reached out to you following the postseason that year.
Yes, yep, sure did, and and had some cool interviews. Got to visit with some folks, and and Jay Johnson being one of them. Talked with him yesterday, so we developed a relationship after that too, and and stuff. So it was it was humbling. It was exciting, and stuff. But it was something I had to really consider, right? I mean,
well, sure.
That was again, it was something that, I think a lot of people would love that. And I did. I was honored, I was very humbled by that, but it also coincided with the timing of when Coach Berry.
Of course, you're at that high level with this program, but those are really high level programs. The truth is, Coach, you could have become a very wealthy man.
Yeah, I could have, and it's not all about money, and it's not all about. It's a fit, it's where you're at, the people you're with, and things that fit. And this feels right here to me. That summer, that's when Coach Berry identified to me that this was 23 would be his last year. And, him and Jeremy McClain shared that we want you to be the guy.
At that point, they told you if you'll stay after one more season, you'll be the head coach.
Correct. So we kept that secret,
Y'all did a good job, too, I want to tell you. I covered the team real closely. I didn't have a hint.
Yeah. Well, one, that was obviously I wouldn't have blinked any for Coach Berry, respect for him and stuff, and just the whole thing. And it wasn't about me ever, and stuff. And but that in turn turned into something else, something changed and it felt something different inside of me. Now I said, we were like, obviously our staff knew, right? Our staff knew. And it was more like, man, I want to make sure if this is Coach Berry's last one, let's send him out on a great note. So there's even more motivation, with that, and I think we did. I think we did. I think you're one game from Omaha. That year with a team that
3 innings from Omaha. Right?
Yeah, and with. I don't know. That was just special, that season, that first year in the Sun Belt, and you win the conference tournament there. Then you go to a regional at Auburn, and you lose game 1, and just got hotter than a firecracker. As we know can happen. And to watch those guys do what they did, to win that Auburn regional and then get to host Tennessee in that super and to win game 1. And, that was something. And anyway, close, but to see Coach Berry get to go out that way meant everything.
I want to take you back to Auburn, and I'm glad you brought that up because I remember this specifically. Post-game on the field, Coach Berry's out on the field. All the players are out on the field. Everybody's celebrating. I look in the dugout, and I saw you standing in the dugout by yourself. I don't know if you remember this. I came over and got a sound bite from you. But at any rate, that's not important. When you were sitting there in that dugout, standing in that dugout postseason, and you knew it was Coach Berry's last year, were you thinking, this is going to be my program now?
It was surreal. I mean, it was more just like I said, because of, what Coach means to me and meant, and the relationship, just to see, but in the program too. I mean, you just won a regional, right? 2 years in a row, you won a regional and you're two wins away from Omaha. So all that, and yes, soaking in and just thankful. Maybe I think it was just, there was a period there that year where there was some concerns. Our pitching staff was not as deep as it was the year before. Tanner Hall, I went through some stuff in the fall, with the shoulder that whatever. I mean, there was like, oh, geez, and just to see it all come together, just see everything come together and how those guys competed and stuff. And to see Coach, knowing he's what a fitting way for his career, to be coming to an end. So it was just it was pretty cool. It was a cool story ending.
Yeah. I'll take one step back. I want to go back to your wife for just a minute. You're offered these jobs at Texas and LSU, big time program, lots of money, Coach. I'm not going to ask you how much, but undoubtedly a lot of money. You sat down and talked to her about it, I'm sure. How many wives would be willing to give up that kind of income in order for their husband to continue his dream?
It's crazy. It started a couple years before that when I was at Louisiana Tech. I had a chance after my first year to go to Alabama. with Coach Greg Goff, who got that job at Alabama. I decided to stay for various reasons, on personal reasons. My wife didn't understand at the time. I'd be make $100,000 more than I was making there, you know.
It's a lot of money.
And I told her, just trust me. Just trust me on this one. And I knew the decision I made was right, and it was. You know, you fast forward a year and you see, okay, whatever. So in that moment there was times, you know, like I said, my daughter graduated high school, so now we have no kid, you know, there. It would have been very easy for us to do it. And, you know, she didn't understand some of it, and the fact of it was such a discrepancy in the financial part of it. And, you know, money's not everything, and kind of who you are and what you are. And to be, you know, when they tell me that I got a chance to be the next head coach at this program, or I could go and be an assistant at this program. I just told her again, just trust me. You know, I believe in this, and I'll never forget her words were, "I've trusted you this far all along. Yeah, there's no reason to not now." And you know, so that support was there, but it was really something that Coach Barry said too. And I remember sharing this with my wife, that he said, "You want to go and help build continue to grow Jay Johnson's legacy, or do you want to start your own?" And I was like, wow.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that was, and that was a pitch to me that was like, oof, okay. You know, and it was right, man, and stuff. But, you know, you look at it all, and, you know, a fit's a fit. I believe that. It's not where you're at, it's who you're with. And it's so many things. And when I say that, who you're with here, this community, this program, it's special. You know, I felt that all these years as an assistant, and when I was a head coach at Jones, and coming to watch games as a fan, or sending players here and watching them. I knew that. And, you know, so again, it's a fit. And I can look you in the eye and tell you right now, if I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't change one thing. Right. And so very convicted in the decision, and just very, very, very glad to be where I'm at.
Head coaching job at Jones after Louisiana Tech?
No, it was before.
Before Louisiana Tech.
Before, yeah.
So give me the scenario from the time you started coaching. What was the trail that you took, for lack of a better term, that led you to Southern Miss?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a neat testimony to a lot of young coaches that I try to share with. And so I started at Delta State, you know, as a GA, or student assistant 1 year. That's in 1997, GA 98, 99. Then hired full time in 99 as assistant coach. So there from, you know, the season 2000, 2001, 2002. I'm the full time assistant coach, getting paid that way, even though I was doing it earlier too. So a 6-year period after I played at Delta State. Summer of 2002, Keith Kessinger got the head job at Arkansas State University. He called me up, asked me to come be his pitching coach, recruiting coordinator. I take that job thinking that's what you do, right? You move up and making a little bit more money, not much. So I go do that. I did that for 4 years. My second daughter was born in Jonesboro. So you got, you know, I get to a point, I get to a crossroads in my life. You know, not knowing, never thought about D1 head coach. That wasn't. I love baseball. I love coaching it. I'm not being I'm not supporting my family great. You know, right now I got these young kids. I took a leap of faith in 2006, and I resigned from my spot at Arkansas State. You know, after a 10-year period as a college coach, and I went to Gulfport High School. And double my salary. And not that it was just about money, but at the time, again, and I mean, people might not believe me, I wasn't thinking about Division I head coach at that time. I would just, I'm going day to day, you know, and I'm a coach. All right, high school, let's go. You know, they made it really nice over there. It was fun. I had a blast those 2 years at Gulfport High School. I'm in the third base box. I'm teaching hitting. I'm teaching everything. Still a pitching guy. Managing people, growing as a coach. Didn't realize it how much at the time, but I was. So I was there 2 years, had a blast doing that. And then summer of 2008, a friend, a colleague that was a Division I coach reached out about a player that I had at Gulfport, and we just small talking and everything. And he said, they're looking for a coach at Jones Junior College, and for what I'm hearing, he said they want somebody that has some Division I experience. And I said, yeah, my previous 10 years as an assistant in junior in college, I went after some JUCO job, didn't get them. Really frustrated me because I thought I was very prepared to. So anyway, so I threw my name in the hat. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'll just send my stuff in. Literally. Just sent my stuff in. Didn't have a contact, didn't have a dog in the fight to Jones. Well, lo and behold, I get a call. About, would you be interested in coming to interview? Well, when that happened, I said, okay. And then, so I got my references to call.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kennison, Boo Ferris.
That's a pretty good reference.
Yeah, I mean, to say, and they did. And lo and behold, I get the job at Jones Junior College as a head coach. Really wasn't trying hard, really wasn't. I was happy where I was at. But I thought again, all right, well, this is what I should need to do. So I get there, and it was I ain't lied to you, it was a dump at that time in 2008. That field facility was terrible. The team just came off a 16 and 36 season. It was in shambles, and I'll never forget Dr. Jesse Smith, the president, still president there at Jones. He said, we need to resurrect. We need to, and I said, yes, sir. I think I know what that looks like. I think I know. I ain't worried about what to do on the field. We'll get it right and stuff. And it's kind of crazy, you so much overhaul and stuff. But man, it was talking about changing a culture and building a culture and stuff. You fast forward after 1 year, that first season, those group of young men, the year before, 16 and 36. We finished 36 and 16.
The next year.
And that changed everything there. Excitement, energy. They decided to build a beautiful facility there, which you see at the bank,
Mm-hmm.
the community bank. Got to be part of that. Year 2, we're on the road, all our games, because they're building that facility. Year 3, we go to the World Series. Year 3, we play for a national championship, and got beat by Western Oklahoma in the national championship game. But just, had a blast, and it was just going, man. And then 2012 and 13, good years. 2014, you put another year together where you're one game back from a World Series. Had a great year there. 2015, okay, going good. We had some internal stuff that I had to deal with that really crippled that team a little bit, but it's set up for the next year. Some of the decisions I had to make influenced what happened in 16. But in the fall of 2015, leading up to 16, that's when I got asked to go to Louisiana Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I left that group, and Travis Creel was there on that staff. Chris Kirtland was on that staff with me, been there since 2009 with me. And I leave, and I go to Tech, and Coach Kirtland and Coach Creel and Coach Allen, who's now the head coach at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, they took that team to Omaha. And I knew when I left in December that we felt like we had a chance to be special. But I mean, they took them to the World Series, not Omaha. They took them back to Enid, where they ended up winning the World Series.
Jones.
Yeah, Jones did. So,
But was that frustrating?
It was. I was there when I left. I had a hard time when I got to Tech. I was sitting there. You're used to being in charge now for 10 years. 2 years at Gulfport, 8 years at Jones, and you create who you are a little bit. It was tough. There were some things. There were some moments when I talked with my wife, like, how did I miss this? Why? But then good Lord showed it to me why I was there at Louisiana Tech, that spring, and I found my groove, and I feel like I became what those players needed at that time in a certain way. That's a whole nother story. But I settled in. But while I'm settling in there, and we had a great year at Tech that year. We won 42 games, went to a regional in Starkville. Played here and played here in the conference tournament in 2016. And, but anyway, it was, it made me, I questioned myself, like, how did I miss this or whatever? Because while I'm sitting there doing that, Jones was doing what they did. And I was so proud, man, of them, because I knew I was a big part of that, knew helped build it. And maybe you're not there for the cake and the ice cream, but you help.
Were
get 'em
you
there.
recognized in any way for what you had contributed at Jones?
I mean, sure, nothing, more than, I think so. I think you look back on it. Coach Kirk really knew how big part I was in those guys, and I didn't want anything because I knew, it was. But been close to that program ever since, and and just very proud of it. And it was fun being part of something that you built. That you helped build, and really more than anything about a culture, just creating a culture and an identity, and that's what it's all about, and that's what we're doing here. The culture's already created; it's just now to further it and strengthen it.
So you're at Tech when the call comes from Scott Berry, and you've told me in the past that was a pretty easy decision for you.
It was. It was. I was taking a pay cut. They put me as
You took a pay cut from Louisiana Tech to Southern Miss.
Because there I was the associate head coach at Louisiana Tech, and so the number 2. And come here, I would have been the number 2 assistant, which is fine. I mean, it was no big deal. I wasn't doing it for money. I took a pay cut to go from Jones to Tech. I took, and vice versa. So it's not about money, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, how would you? All the decisions I made in my career
clearly were not financially based.
No, but it all led me to here. Leaving Jonesboro, Arkansas, my gut telling me, and needing to find a job, and you found one in Gulfport, Mississippi, an hour from here, back in South Mississippi, South Mississippi. I don't think if I did that, then I'd be where I'm at today, because I got association down here, relationships.
You told me one time, I hope you'll remember this, that there was a little thing about your phone, a phone you had, and a password that sort of revealed what your ambition really was.
100%. This is a true story. Back in the days where you had to have passwords, one of the questions was, what's your dream job? And I put Southern Miss. This is when I was at Gulfport. Just whatever. It made sense, that area and stuff. And anyway, phones expire. You go on to the next one. You put them in a drawer and stuff like that. And I'm here. It was early in my time here. It was probably about 9 years ago, maybe 10 years. Maybe it was the first year I was here. My wife found that, and she's trying to find photos. She wanted to collect of old things of kids and stuff, and she opened that, and she come in there and say, "Look at this." And it said, what's your dream job? And it says Southern Miss. And it gave me chills, that, you think back to that, and now you're there, and then you get a chance to be the head coach at this program. And I don't know, it's like a movie to me. It really is. It's like something that, I can't do this by myself. There, God had a hand in this. And, with so many of the hard decisions you had to make, that affected your family, and but you look at it, you just trust the process, worry about where you're at. I think that's a great thing for a lot of people. And, don't worry about what's next and what's out there. Worry about where you're at and just do the best job you can. And, good things happen to good people. I'd like to think that. I believe that. And, if you just put your head down and work hard where you're at, your rewards will come.
How much does this mean to you to have this program now?
Everything. I mean, it's a huge responsibility that I love. There's not a day that I wake up and go to the office or go to that field or go out there with those guys that it's just fun. It's not work. There's headaches, sure, but I welcome them, and stuff. It's a lot of fun, because I know, one, you can't do this forever. I'm obviously towards the end of my career versus the beginning. Been doing it now almost 30 years and stuff. But there's no place I'd rather be. And I mean that when I say that. When people ask me those things, and when agents reach out trying to represent me, I said, I don't need you. I'm not looking for anything. If there's something that is next for me, it'll be revealed. Because I'm happy. And stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about getting better. I'm all about, competing to get to the next or do the next and this, that. But for me, that competition of the next is this program. is taking it to Omaha, is getting it back to Omaha. It's winning championships. It's winning the conference championship regular season. It's winning the tournament. It's hosting that regional. It's winning that regional, which that's the goal. It's winning that super and going to Omaha. So that's the next for me. It's stuff. It's
More
not,
so than looking for the next job.
Yeah, it's not about status.
Right.
It's not about any
Very
of that
interesting.
stuff.
You just told our audience that you've told agents, just leave me alone. I'm not job hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, and I don't need them. I'm happy where I'm at. If the plan is for me if there's something else for me, it'll be revealed.
What's the most difficult thing about coaching a nationally prominent D1 baseball program?
The most difficult in this day and age is keeping it there. And in this day and age, with the rules that are there, it's harder and harder, man. And money's important, and raising the money and the awareness. That's my job. I spend a lot of time. We got great people help with that. Our administration's doing a great job helping with that. Lee Applewhite, I got to get him a shout. He does a great job helping with that, with this program, our sport administrator. But really the program has allowed for it to be easier than some places because of the tradition, because of the sustained success, because of the great men that's led this program well beyond before me. And, you created a foundation to where people want to help. People want to keep this program where we need to. We need that help. People don't, every penny matters. Every dollar matters when you are now have the ability to reward your players. We do a great job of retention. That is proven. It's nationally known that we're in a unique spot with that. Well, we're all naive to think, just stay that way. And so we got to be able to play the game, to reward, show true, honest value. So guys can leave and go get more money maybe. But what they get here, all the other things can't be bought.
Well, the truth is only one's ever done that.
I agree with that. I agree. One that makes you really wonder. There's been guys that leave for various reasons that needed to.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I get that. And I think that's a good thing about the portal and stuff. The bad thing about it is being able to leave for more money, being able to leave for this, that, or whatever. But there's so many things to be thankful for what this program has done. And one of them to me is the ability to retain players. So I am hyper aware of that. And it scares me. It's challenging. Because you don't want an avalanche to start. And once something does, it's how you see programs out there where that is. So we got a job to do. Our community's got a job to do. Our fan base has a job to do. Our donors have a job to do. We all have a job to do if we want to keep this thing going, keep this engine running hot. And that's the hardest part about this job right now.
So when the portal closes and the draft is completed, then you can breathe a sigh of relief and start looking toward next season?
Absolutely. You don't know what your roster is until that time comes. End of June, whether any of your players get in the portal or not. July 14th after the draft, you kind of have a feel for, all right, now and let's roll. The timing of those are terrible. The timing is absolutely terrible. It's for so many reasons. I hope that the MLB and the NCAA, they get that right and they adjust, the timing of that to where it coincides with the with the portal and stuff. Because I remember back in 22, the draft hit us hard. Then the portal hit us, and all of a sudden you're going, oh baby,
Yeah.
And we had to scrounge and stuff. And I realized when you have to scrounge and try to get guys out of the portal, they're not the answers. And I made a vow then. And I'll never forget it, that we'll never be in that space again. I want to make sure I got plenty of arms, and I have. And again, we will never,
Right. Well, this has been a really good year in the respect of the portal and the draft. You kept your guys that you wanted to keep, right?
100%.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. No, I feel great about it. I didn't know what the draft would do. I thought Gillespie could. I thought Crabtree, Ock, we had several guys, and they did. They there was conversations going on and stuff. And
but all those guys are coming back.
They're all back. We're intact. We had a couple of our incoming players, a couple freshmen that thank God they put their number very high, or they probably would have had that opportunity. So, yeah, we couldn't have come out any better than that. Now, now we got to go do something with it. And I like the complex of this group. I think it's an unbelievable freshman class coming in with athleticism. I think it's enough returning core dudes there to build around. I think our assistant coaches did a fabulous job of bringing in, identifying the right type hitters we wanted out of the portal. So very excited about it. Now the job is bringing them together.
Well, what does it say that your three weekend starters are all invited to the Team USA tryout? Man, that had to be a really proud moment for you.
Gosh, yeah. It's like, I don't have sons. I got two wonderful daughters, and so all these guys I feel like are my sons, and that was like a proud dad moment, with it, and that they earned. Don't get me wrong. When Eric Campbell, director of Team USA, called and said he was doing that because they want the coach to be the one to tell them they're going to get that invite. Man, that was awesome, and he knew. I know. The magnitude, because I got to live it a couple summers ago. Put that uniform on with USA on your chest. That's special, man. That's and that's a neat experience. I was like a kid. I was starstruck, when I was there as a coach, and so those guys get to experience that, be around those dudes for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for whatever, grading for 3.5 weeks, and that's special. That's a memory they'll have for the rest of their lives. Whether or not they make the travel team that goes overseas or not, just the respect of being asked to come there, of course, was something. And it's Team USA is a really neat organization.
And it really speaks highly of the respect your program has, Coach.
I agree, man. And you know what? Rightfully so. I think this program's earned that, and you don't take it for granted. And I'm proud to say, and we've been able to say this for many years, but they know who we are out there. And, and that's what you want, right? But you don't take it for granted. You stay humble, you stay hungry, you stay focused, and you just keep going.
What would you say if I told you here we are in the summer when this podcast is released, D1 Baseball has already put out projections for next year, and 4 of their writers are already projecting your team in the College World Series.
Well, I love it. Ain't nothing I want more than that. I'm not on social media. I don't see any of that. And, to me, that's what our goal is in our fight. And, talked about the flame a little bit earlier to you. The flame's always hot, but it's even hotter, man. And that's a good thing. That's a blessing. Sometimes some setbacks, if you will, if you want to call it setbacks or something like that, it's what allows the 2 big steps to come, or whatever that might be. So we're going to work our tails off. We're going to invest in these players. We're going to have fun doing it, and we're going to give back to the community, and we're going to try to put the best product we can out there and go try to win every game that we can.
One thing that I've learned in following you and Scott and your program is how difficult it is to win college baseball games, how talented everyone is, how equal the talent level is on a given night. So for me, the most remarkable statistic about Southern Miss baseball is not College World Series appearances. It's not regional championships. For me personally, it's 10 plus years of winning 40 or more games. And I hear other people in the media, when you're playing other teams, they talk about that quite honestly, with astonishment.
Yeah. Oh, it is astonishing. It's hard to do. Man, it's hard to do. I don't know. It's special. And we're doing it playing tough schedules. Been doing that for a while. Coach Barry figured that model out, and it's just growing, and and the recognition of the program's getting to go to these tournaments, and and stuff like that. That's I don't know. Like I said, I don't take it for granted. It's not easy, and I don't think people realize that. I don't think people.
I know they don't.
And it's hard. It wears on you. Not that I promise you, we don't sit there and preach to our guys, hey, we got to win 40 games this year. No, man, it's one game at a time. It's chapter 1. It's chapter 2. It's chapter 3. And if you try to do a lot of little things right, then they stack up, and stuff. And so it's just trying to lead them. They know what the expectations are of this program and stuff. And that's not going to change. It's not when we talk about them, but we don't dwell on them. We recognize them because of all the people that before us, what they've done. And our job is to continue it and try to put as many numbers on that tradition of excellence sign as we can every year. Right. And that's all we can do.
All right. Obviously, we know how successful your career has been and how successful you have been as the head coach. But how personally does Christian Ostrander feel about things right now? Your life here in Hattiesburg, your job, your baseball program, overall, how is life for you right now?
It's great. I'm blessed. I got wonderful family. You got to recognize them first and foremost. My oldest daughter got married last November. She's living a great life, her and her husband in New Orleans, and she's loving life and thriving. My youngest daughter just graduated college, and we just moved her to UMC in Jackson.
Be a doctor.
Yeah, starting med school. She's earned that, and she worked her tail off for that. And my wonderful wife, and she's we just now me and her just us, and we get to kind of reconnect, if you will, and enjoy that. And so we're thankful, we're blessed. We got we're dealing with parents that need attention and stuff. We're at that point in our lives, but that's what it's for. But we're enjoying it together and stuff like that. So we're in a great place there, and just so thankful for my wife Amy, my kids Caitlin and Allie. But where we're at, just we couldn't be happier. We're it feels right. It feels like where we're supposed to be, and I'm in a good place. I'm excited. I'm eager. I'm ready for the next challenge, and just can't wait to get these young men all here in about 3 or 4 weeks, and start the next journey.
It's funny you say that. 4th of July, I'm with my daughter and son-in-law, and we're at an outdoor event, 4th of July, fireworks, what have you. My son-in-law wants to talk about Southern Miss baseball. And so in July, your fan base is already gearing up for the next year. We're over last year, and we're ready for next year.
Good. We all need to be. And it was hard. As I told you, it was hard for me to get past that. But then I do. And you realize, you know what? There's a lot of good. I like where this place is. I like where we're at, and stuff. And you're not going to win them all. And you get that. But if you keep punching, I think fortune finds you. I really do.
I want to point that out before I let you go. You and I have not seen each other. We had not seen each other since the end of the season. And when we were talking prior to this taping, you told me that the regional was a very difficult thing for you to put past you and move forward.
Mm-hmm. It was because I want it so bad for everybody that's invested in it. I want it so bad for our players first and foremost. I want it so bad for our fans that pour out there to see the roost and the lounge and the stands and stuff. You want it for them. You want it. You want to do it, and you want to get them there. You want to achieve what, the ultimate goal for any collegiate player or coach or program, and that's getting to Omaha. So hard to do, and stuff. And so it was tough. It was tough because, that's not how you want to go out. You don't want to lose your first 2 games and be in your season over. That stung. That's something that you got to find. You got to twist that and find something to draw from that. And I know I have, and stuff, and I know those players have too. So it took me some time, but once I finally got to the point where I realized, like I said earlier, that you're not defined by 1 game, 2 games. Those last 2 games doesn't define the first 59, right, and what this group accomplished. And they remind that they won a regular season conference championship in a really good league. Then they go and they win a conference tournament championship in a really tough environment, tough field. And we're a national seed. hosted another regional. Things that are hard to do. There's not many non-Power 4 programs doing those things.
Correct.
And, not that we consider ourselves mid-major. We're not. We're not at all. But, so you got to recognize that, and you got to know, just keep fighting, keep punching, stay the course, believe in it and stuff. And good Lord might have in his plans for you to dogpile on your field and that regional, win that super, and get there. So,
all right, final question, Coach. And you partially answered this earlier when you made the comment you've told agents, I don't have any need for your services. I'm not looking. And none of us can predict the future. I get that. But as we sit here today, I get the feeling more than maybe any time that I've ever talked to you that you would be content to be here for many years to come running this program.
100%. Like I said, a fit's a fit, and this is, I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon here. I think it's, there's reason to be excited. Hattiesburg's a great community. Great community, great place to live. It's home to us. It feels like home, and stuff. And just, I don't know, the value of being at a place that feels like a good fit for you. I think there's something to that. Could you maybe go get more money somewhere? Maybe so. Okay. But that's not going to bring you happiness and things of that nature. So, but I want to see it through. I don't want to just be here. I want to be here, and I want to knock down the wall. I want to, I want to do that. I want to further this culture. I want to do what Coach Berry did. Whenever that time comes that I'm done, that you can look back and go, man, it's even better than when I got it. That would be, the icing on the cake, the dot the I, across the T. So,
yeah. And with this program, that's a big challenge.
It is. But you got to believe it, right? You got to believe you can do that. Right. And I do. I really do. So just take it one day at a time. Just keep going. Keep being true to yourself.
Final question. My wife and I have had this discussion a lot. How emotional we think it will be when we go back to Omaha and we're there and we see what we refer to as our kids on that field. It would be the same for you, would it not?
Oh, absolutely. It would be, it would just be a lot of hard work, and it'd really be honoring all those before us, with the work.
Great way to put it.
Yeah, it really would be. It'd be honoring them and honoring each other. That's in the moment that gets you there. But ultimately, I think that's what this program is. It's a relationship built program, and of humility, of thankfulness and stuff like that. At least I believe that, and that's the narrative that I try to pound into these guys, and we try to pound into them, and I think if you live your life that way, I think good things will happen. I really believe that.
Yeah, I know that those of us that really cover the program closely were delighted to know you were going to be the coach. You're the right man to lead this program, Coach, and we're behind you 10,000%. And we're going to have this interview one day, you and I, sitting in Omaha, Nebraska. I have every confidence of that.
Well, there's nothing more I want than that, Bob. But I appreciate you and what you do and your support. I really do. It means a lot. And there's a lot of folks out there that do that as well, and we appreciate it. So. Just keep loving these Eagles and keep supporting them and keep coming. And now more than ever, man, that your support is extremely valuable.
Coach Christian Ostrander on Legends, and we're very grateful for Coach's time. Also grateful to Patrick Irby for providing us with this beautiful podcast studio. Thanks to you, Coach, again for coming.
Yep, appreciate you having me, Bob.
All right, more Legends as each week continues. Thanks for tuning in today, for downloading the podcast, and hope to visit with you again very soon.